4, 3, 2, 1.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point you realize you married into crazy. And that's what our show is all about. If your marriage or relationship is compassionate, real, accountable, zealous and yielding, or just plain crazy, Snooks and Lovey offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as they unpack this thing called marriage. Sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
Welcome back to another episode of the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
And I'm Lovey. And as you know,
Nice.
we're a couple that's been married for 28 plus years. Mm-hmm. And we've been through some things. Mm-hmm. You know, so when we first got started, before we even got married, I ended up getting stabbed through the heart by her ex-boyfriend.
Yep.
So things started off a little rough.
A lot rough.
Mm-hmm. Right? And so then 4 years into it,
Mm-hmm.
somebody
asked for a divorce.
I'm not going to say who, but, you know, so things were a little crazy. But we figured out a few things along the way. Mm-hmm. And we decided that we wanted to become that couple that we needed when we were going through the rough patch. As you can tell, we made it through, but it didn't come without some scar tissue.
You know, I just realized I said asked for a divorce.
She demanded
Did
the
I
divorce.
ask you? I just wonder.
It was a
'Cause I wonder
demand.
Why
It was
do
a
I
demand.
say ask? I mean, I just said it. I wanted one. So anyway, that just kind of.
Well, just so you understand a little bit of my qualifications, I've been married 37 years. I've known my wife for 48 years. We dated originally for like 5 or 6 weeks, and she dumped me. And then we were in, this is probably music, because I'm a lot older than you guys. I'm 72 years old. So before you guys were born, there was a thing called records, you know, these kind of round things that you just kind of see people selling in antique stores or stuff like that. And we just made love. And I wanted to listen to a particular song by a band called Yes. And my wife, that time, she kind of thought, well, no, let's just, you know, let the force guide you, you know, just pick something at random. And we kind of got into an argument about that. And about 10 minutes later, we were in the shower, and she said to me, do you believe in the union of two souls? I was like 23, she was probably 22, maybe. My parents had a terrible marriage. I did not believe in the union of two souls. It was the wrong answer, at least the wrong answer I wanted to continue a relationship with her, because she dumped me like 2 days later. And then 11 years later, I was on Houston Street in Manhattan waiting for another woman outside of a restaurant that just had a kitchen fire, was closed. And because it's New York City, everyone's always late. I'm with my brother, who's older than me, and my wife-to-be came along. We didn't recognize each other. 11 years had passed, but she recognized him. Awkward conversation. She went around the corner and told her friend that she was going to marry me. My brother said to me, so why'd you ask for a phone number? I mean, she's so old. She's like 9 months younger than me. She's so old, you know, going out with her, we're like kicking over a tombstone. She's like 31, 30 years old. Here's what's really freaky, though. Walking down the street came a woman and overheard my wife ask my brother this conversation, part of the conversation. Are you still dating virgins? My brother's one of those like hangers-on by universities who just, you know, gets that freshman yearbook that they have at universities where it tells where all the girls are, and you see their picture. He slept with a lot of virgins. And my wife said to him, well, do you sleep with virgins? And he said, nah, well, kind of that fake, well, only white people do this. That fake blush that people get when they actually are proud of something, you can't see it with black people. You guys do it too, but I know you do it. So that sort of fake embarrassment, because actually, yeah. And then she said to me, what about you? I said, I've never fucked a virgin in my life. I have no interest in a fucking virgin. A girl stopped in the street who was like 19 years old and blonde, attractive, looked me up and down and said, I'm a virgin. I go out with you. And then walked away.
Wow.
My brother said, hey, aren't you going to take off and chase her? And I thought to be rude, you know, because I was talking to Annie. And here I am, married, 37 years, and can't say I ever felt like stabbing anyone. But I would have to say, and I'm proud of this, that probably 35 out of 37 years have been really good. A couple of years. So I feel I'm qualified for this conversation.
You're absolutely qualified.
Absolutely qualified, yes.
So for those of you that are listening, and if you're not watching, you should be, but this is Dr. Elliot Justin. And so just so you know who we have on the show today, we told you that we're going to have several interviews. Some are going to be with couples. Some are going to be with subject matter experts. We're trying to bring you the best individuals that can actually pour into your marriages. And so let me give you a little bit of background. Dr. Justin he has a background in emergency medicine and healthcare technology consulting. He's a serial healthcare entrepreneur, and he's founded and sold Pegasus Emergency Group and Swift MD.
He's also his work has also been featured in top tier outlets like the New York Times, CNN, and Forbes.
And what we've just learned is he did not like sleeping with virgins. So he's very much qualified to be on the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. Welcome to the show, Dr. Justin.
Great to be here.
That is so funny.
So you came out the gates hot, and I like it. So I was thinking when you said that you were 23, 22 years old, and the girl was asking about the souls intertwining. I'm like, wow, were you at Berkeley or?
It's embarrassing to say I was at Harvard. The great thing about going to Harvard is that you're there with the best and the brightest. And if you have integrity and you have objectivity, you recognize how much that means and how little it means. And and that's actually the best takeaway for me from going to an elite university. Yeah, there's people who are really smart, but they don't have a lot of them don't have any common sense. And when you think about the crap that's been embraced by Harvard and the elites in the last century, you have abstract expressionism in art, utterly ugly crap, with no truth or beauty. Then you got Freudian psychoanalysis. We now know big pseudoscience, and you got communism. And what do you got in this century? You have the green scam. Somehow the planet never dies. They're always predicting the planet's going to die, and it never seems to die. Then you had COVID. You had the Earth's overpopulated. I mean, the things that the elites believe in. It's mad, and that's one of the great things about going to Harvard.
Interesting.
Well, hey, I like that because like you said, common sense is not common, right?
No, it's uncommon, unfortunately.
Uncommon.
But it's. I wish it were more common. Speaking of, just to pull back into what I'm doing, if you don't mind. I know you want to interrupt me, but we have discovered that what the doctors think is the primary cause of erectile dysfunction is not. That's what's been. Yeah, that's been so interesting about the particular thing that I'm involved in right now, because we've invented the world's first smart cock ring, and we've embedded sensors into a cock ring, and with that, overnight, we can count the number of nocturnal erections that are a lead indicator of man's cardiovascular health. By the way, how many you have last night? Snooks, Lovey, you both had them. How many you have?
I didn't count.
See, you got to be asleep, so it's kind of hard to count when you're asleep. But the point is that we all have them. You should have had 3+. I don't know how many the women have. But they're probably significant in women too. We know women have them. And born during sex to measure the duration of firmness of your erections. So with this information, you can then assess the impact of diseases, diabetes, hypertension, heart atherosclerosis, medications, testosterone replacement therapy, shockwave therapy, supplements, relationships, who do you get harder with? All these things can now be measured objectively. So the doctors were thinking that as men get older, the incidence of erectile dysfunction goes up. Men's dicks erections should get softer, and they should have less nocturnal erections. And that's the common belief of urologists around the world. And it's not happening. So let me illustrate with my hands, if you don't mind. Incidence of erectile dysfunction goes up 10% per decade per year after age 45. I'm 72. It's around 70% of my age. You look like you're about 35 years old. Oh, now you've married 27 years. Can't be. So let's assume, I'm going to guess that you're early 50s. And so it should be about 50%
I'll go with that.
by your age. But the thought was, as the incidence of erectile dysfunction goes up, the firmness of nocturnal erections will go down, the number of nocturnal erections will go down, and the firmness of sex erections will go down. And that's not happening for the majority of men. The majority of men stay just as hard at night and when they're having sex. But why is the incidence of erectile dysfunction going up? Because the doctors were thinking, oh, as you get older, men have problems with the pump, the heart, men have problems with their arteries, and men do, but that's only about 10% of men. The doctors, this is a common mistake in medicine, we see the sickest people, and then we project that onto the general population. So the doctors in their the academic urologists set the standard in their offices are seeing the guys who struggle to get an erection or can't get an erection. That's not the majority of guys, though. Majority of guys who have ED, and I hate that phrase because it's so stigmatizing, it's so embarrassing. Right. Majority of men get an erection, they lose it. And the question is, why are they losing it? And with data, you can start to figure it out. But the solution is pretty much, the acute solution is pretty much the same. Obviously, you want to be in good shape. You don't want to smoke, you don't want to drink, blah, 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 all those chronic fixes. But every erection ends with blood leaving your dick. Same thing with women, but women have vibrators. They have an advantage over men. Every erection ends with blood leaving the penis. What's the solution? We have to try to keep blood into the penis. That's men's problems. All men get fading erections from venous leak as they get older. And the answer is a comfortable, effective cock ring. And that's what we've invented. I didn't get involved in this business to invent the best cock ring. I got involved in it for the data, for health. Go ahead. You want?
No, I was just saying, so is that what venous leak syndrome is? Because I was going to ask that. So that's basically just the blood leaving the penis.
It's blood. Now, again, this is the doctor mindset. There are men who are born with congenital weakness of the veins and the muscles that hold the blood in the penis. But we all get it as we get older. And I'm going to prove, any guy can prove this tonight. Every guy actually knows this. And it's incredible that the doctors, including myself, miss this. Look, when you were 13 years old, you could probably hold a girl's hand for 10 minutes. You get a hard on for an hour and a half and you get blue balls, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe 5 minutes will do. Heck, just being sitting next to someone in class, So that doesn't happen to you anymore, right?
Only when she's near me.
Yeah, sure. Very diplomatic, by the way, guys. Don't believe him. The hard on he has might be up here. It ain't down there. And I had that too, but I don't get it anymore. So what's going on? Something happens between age 14 and 30. Why is blood leaving our penis faster? Why is it not staying there? And we actually don't know why that is the case. But we do know the answer to the cock ring. Here's another way that you can prove it to yourself tonight. Not with her. You need to do this alone. This is an exercise for every man. Is going to prove to you that every man has venous leak and every man benefits from the cock ring. Go to tonight. Go to Pornhub or XNXX or wherever you go when you're masturbating or jerking off. Get rock hard, and then turn off all the stimulation. Turn the stopwatch on your phone. Your erection will go down 25 to 35 seconds. Now, do it again. Get rock hard. Whatever turns you on, and now put a ring on it. Ours, of course, because ours is the only ring designed for safety. But any cock ring will do, frankly, for this experiment. You're going to stay hard for like 2 or 3 minutes. What is that telling you? It's telling you that every man will benefit from a cock ring, and guys aren't doing it. Whereas women have vibrators, men have shit. Men have these stupid fleshlight stroker garbage, things that have never really caught on. Why haven't cock rings caught on? So they haven't caught on because there's these hard silicone, uncomfortable rings that are made the same stupid way for 150 years. They pinch, they're uncomfortable. If a man has diabetes or hypertension or some compromising disease that can actually damage the tissue. So what we've done at FirmTech is we fixed that problem. I got into this for the data. I wanted to find out about blood flow into the penis and what things could make it better, what things could make it worse, and help men enjoy a longer lifetime of lovemaking. But then in order to do that, in order to count erections overnight, we had to redesign the cock ring, make it out of a soft, comfortable elastomer, not hard silicone, and make it something that would heighten a man's pleasure. So,
okay.
Back in my youth, in the 80s, when I was still dating, vibrators hadn't been mainstream yet. They're just becoming popular. And there was a certain embarrassment to women using a vibrator. Oh, you're going to become vibrator addicted. You're going to, you need to learn how to come without a vibrator, or just, and now everyone uses them all around the fucking world. I could speak about this subject in Japan. I can speak about it in Egypt, even in really inhibited societies. Women using vibrators, and they're a lot, not everywhere, but almost everywhere. They're normalized, but men need rings. They need to get over that pride thing, guys. Oh, I don't need that. No, it's not about need. It's about want. Do you want to rock harder, last longer, fix your Venous leak, be like you were when you were young, be more confident, and be more likely to satisfy a partner? And if a guy says no to any of those things, he's an asshole.
Well, I was going to say, it's got. I think you can always trace it back to ego. I think ego is probably the biggest thing. So the question is, what about structural challenges, issues? I know you touched upon it. With the older ones, yes, so there's no challenges with FirmTech as far as any type of structural damage?
Oh, no, our rings can be worn we have the only research-proven cock ring that can be worn for hours and hours and hours. So that's... Go ahead.
You have two types, right? So I went on the website and I was looking around, and it's really interesting because you have one that is strictly for pleasure, right? For those individuals that want to actually have it for pleasure. But then you also have the data capturing one for health. So talk to us about the one for health. What kind of data are you actually capturing?
Yeah, but I want to say the health ring also works as a cock ring too. But what are we capturing? We count the number of nocturnal erections. So you should have 3 per night. If you have 2 or less, you probably have a cardiovascular problem. And that's important information. That becomes like another vital sign. Right? We live in this age of healthcare wearables, smartwatches, smart rings, smart bands. What do men care more about than? So,
look, and we have a 5-year-old grandson, and that's all he cares about.
and if you I call it the night shift. What's going on with the night shift? Those are your nocturnal erections. The one that's happening while you're sleeping. How many you have? How long they last? How firm are they? Can tell men a lot about. One, you can identify a problem before you want to see the data showing deterioration before things have gone too far,
right?
Down there, and we've had men get cardiac catheterization. Too many I know get cardiac catheterizations using our device because the device told them that they were not in good cardiovascular health. There are men who are using the device to monitor their medications, and we doctors are assholes. We prescribe several cock-killing medications, antihypertensives, antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, flow medications for men with prostate problems. We never warn people about the sexual side effects of medicines because we don't it's not even important to us. Not important to us for 2 reasons. One, there are cultural issues and it's embarrassing, but 2, there's no money in it. I mean, I'm on the other side of the computer seeing patients, not recently, but the computer is basically driving me to ask the questions or do the tests that will generate the most revenue, not what you want. What do people most want from doctors? They want advice. What do managed care and Medicare and insurance companies pay for advice? 0.
Reimbursement.
What we do to you, the more money we make. It's a really fucked up system that we have. So one of the things that when I got involved, when I started Swift MD, a telemedicine company, I really started thinking about how can people take control over their health at home? What can you do to learn about your health? You need doctors because unfortunately, no system yet will allow you to get an antibiotic on your own or get an X-ray on your own, although they should. So you're stuck, but you can still you can figure things out. But this is smarter than every doctor in the world. And I've been fighting for decades now to get this to be the entry point for people's healthcare. I mean, Lovey, why do you have to ever go to a doctor for urinary tract infection? The average woman gets 1 urinary tract infection every 18 to 24 months, especially if you're sexually active. You shouldn't have to go to a doctor. You should be able to get the antibiotic, without that. Snooks, if you sprained your ankle, twisted on the curb, whatever, you shouldn't have to go to a doctor to find out whether you need an X-ray. This machine can tell you what. We're throwing across the table here. This machine can tell you whether or not you need an X-ray. But now you can learn about your sexual health. Now you can actually say, I want to know about my sexual health. I've been thinking about starting testosterone therapy. Let me get a tech ring, establish a baseline, and instead of just like chasing a number, find out what's really going on. What's the right dose for me? Let's look at Viagra and Cialis. Sildenafil, tadalafil, the two most popular dick pills. What's the right dose? Well, now with data, you can figure out the right dose. I mean, if you, I'm a lot older than you, but I'll look at all three of us. Different ages, different gender, different race, different physical condition, probably taking different medications. If we all went to a doctor right now and the doctor said, yeah, you have high blood pressure, they put us in the same pill. What's stupid? We're all different. We should, we should be using a blood pressure cuff the way you can use a tech ring to get data that is objective, actionable, but most important, personal. Your data. You might respond to one dose of testosterone. I might not respond to that dose of testosterone. You might need 20 of Cialis. I might only need 5. I mean, and think about the PD5 medications. If you have high blood pressure, at least you get put in a pill with some data. Okay, your blood pressure is elevated. Take this pill. With erectile dysfunction medications, it's just, oh, you got a problem? Take this pill. Not working? Come back in 3 months. Come back in 3 months. Not working? We'll just increase the dose. Well, we don't treat other medications that way. We look for data to drive our decisions.
That's wild.
That's
really true. You bring us some really valid points.
Thanks. Drinking helps.
So I was going to say, how can intimacy wearables improve both physical and emotional aspects of relationships?
Wow, that's a great question, and it's one that I think about a lot because I'm aware of the impact of what we're doing upon people's relationships. Mm-hmm. So if someone, let's pick on the man here. If someone is things aren't working out for that guy, well, what's going on? And we've had couples. I'm aware of 2 divorces from people using our device because the men were blaming the women for the fact that they couldn't get it up or they couldn't keep it up. But then these guys one guy had 0 nocturnal erections. His dick didn't work. He's blaming his wife for 2 years. And she bought him the device. He refused to wear it. She made him wear it. That guy ended up getting cardiac catheterization, and his wife divorced him because she was fed up with the fact that even though he was in bad health, he spent 2 years demeaning her. You're fat. You're no good in bed. It's all it's all your problem. The problem was his. At the other part of it, if a man has 3-4 nocturnal erections per night and is struggling with a partner, there's something else going on in bed, and it could be something. They could just be incompatible. It could be significant issues, but then there are other issues. There's I call them the big 3 that no man wants to discuss with his partner that a ring fixes, and I've experienced this in my own marriage. So what are the 3 things that sexologists talk a lot about communication. People need, and that's true. A lot of people are inhibited, but my wife and I joke, at least it's my joke, that if we ever get divorced, it's not going to be for lack of communication. Matter of fact, if we ever get divorced, it might be because of too much communication, because we're hot-tempered. Mm-hmm. We have to spend, at least I do. She doesn't apologize as much as I do. We have to spend a fair amount of time every day pretty much apologizing. I don't know, she does that female flip thing to me that all guys complain about where, wait, this is obviously your fault. And how did anything my fault? I don't understand. We think we're, anyway, that's just, guys.
Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, it's a mind trick. I don't know how women do it. And here's an example. So here are 3 things that men complain about. And I'm going to show you how the ring fixed it in our marriage. One is boredom. You guys are married a long time. I'm married a long time. There are certain positions that bore me. Now, if the goddess Aphrodite walked in here right now with some nymphs and assumed that position, I'm like, whoa, yes, game on, ladies. I'm excited. But there are certain positions that my wife likes. Still,
Right.
that bore me. And I had reached the point, I'm an older man, where I would get irritated. Like, so for example, after, in a good marriage, here's my marital advice for this. One, you want to marry someone who's into sex toys, because that should be on everyone's checklist, because marriage lasts a long time, and sex toys are helpful in terms
Right.
of enjoying intimacy
Variety,
together. So, but, and then I think in a successful marriage or committed relationship, whether it's a man and woman, or a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, someone comes first and third. And in most marriages, so successful marriages, it's the woman who comes first and third, and that's just the way it is, for a whole variety of reasons. So after having an orgasm, there are certain positions that my wife likes, like the missionary position or from behind, that for me are like boring. And I'd reached the point of actually getting irritated, because, hey, I'm going to lose my erection. If I'm going to lose my erection in 2 or 3 minutes. And so why are you making me do this? Well, I understand why she's making me do it, because she's had a great climax, and and those positions for her are intimate, satisfying emotionally at that time, but they become boring to me. Very much different mindset if I have a cock ring on, because I have a cock ring on, I'm still hard. I'm not worried about losing my erection. And since I love her, hey, I might not want to climax. I might not want to come in that position, but my mindset is totally different. And the change was almost overnight. I never used cock rings 3 years ago, and now I use them all the time. And one of the reasons is because it addresses the boredom issue. Another issue is friction. How many kids you have?
3.
You got 3. I've got 3 too. I have to say, after the second child, I just didn't get the friction that I used to get. There in certain positions. And again, I don't recommend to any man that he tell his partner, your pussy is too loose. Maybe you guys have had that conversation. I don't know, but that's, it requires a relationship like I have with my wife, a profound intimacy to actually get away with that one. And it wasn't a good one. And there's not much to be done about it. So it's not like she's going to, do Kegels exercises and be able to suddenly drag me around the room by her pussy. It's just not going to happen. So,
Right.
So there's friction. Well, the friction issue goes away as well with a ring, because the ring puts a little more blood in the penis. You're still hard. Again, a guy who's still hard, not worried, totally different mindset. The last one, and I don't know what's true between you guys, but it's a common one complaint that men have, not about all women, but about some women in a committed relationship, is distraction. Somehow or other, women, when they're really turned on in a committed, trusting relationship, can suddenly start talking about something else. And the guy's thinking, what the fuck? So I got to hear now about your design, your great redesign idea for our landing page, or you have this great idea about for our daughter's weddings, getting married a month, or some concern you have about your 98-year-old mother. So 3 years ago, February, when we first came up with the form for the ring, this comfortable, lasting material. I'm here in Montana. It's cold in the winter. It's snowing. It's February. And in the middle of sex, we're both really turned on. My wife says, "Oh, I left the garage door open." Now, there isn't a single fucking marriage anywhere. I mean, is there a place on this planet where the woman jumps out of bed and says, "Oh, I left the garage door open. I'll go downstairs and close it. You stay right there. Keep playing with yourself." No, that's not the way it works. It's the man's job to get up, gird his loins, go downstairs. So I go downstairs. Not the garage door open, but the rear door of a car is open. She's probably bringing in groceries. Ordinarily, this would have been what the fuck? We ain't making love tonight. Game over. Pissed off. But I'm wearing a ring. I've done all these chores, and I'm not like this, but I'm kind of like that. Mm-hmm. As I'm coming up the stairs, my wife says, "Oh, you know that tequila I really like? Can you give us that tequila on the rocks?" 10 seconds go by. "Oh, don't forget the lime." Now, ordinarily, I know, Snooks, you're a much better man than me. you would have been cool with this, but ordinarily this would have been a fucking get your own tequila moment. But instead, I'm a guy with a heart on. I come back upstairs, and my wife says the garage door was the truth, the tequila was the test of the ring. And we proceeded to resume with satisfaction what we've been doing before I had to leave on this journey into the snow. So the ring is a game changer. And straight men need to get this through their fucking head. Gay men understand this. 90% of gay men who have sex regularly use a cock ring. Only 10% of straight men do. And straight men, you guys are missing out. You're missing out on rocking harder, having more blood in your penis and being a bit more sensitive, having more intense orgasm, being more confident. Put a ring on it. Get over it. It's good for you.
Hey.
Beyonce said it.
Put a ring on it. Well, happy wife, happy life.
Like, hey, I go with that.
Hey, this is good. You know what? That's a lot of information. And I think that there's a shift that's taking place where I keep coming back to ego. I think more times than not, a lot of men just don't, and I won't even just put it on the men. A lot of couples are status quo. They don't want to be as adventurous when it comes to the bedroom. They'll go bungee jumping. They'll jump out of an airplane. But when it comes to the bedroom, it's missionary vanilla. And it's like, oh, I don't know if we can do that. We just came back from a marriage retreat. And one of the topics, and it was a Christian marriage retreat. And one of the topics that was discussed that was like, hey, you guys need to get adventurous. You're married. You can do anything within the sanctity of your bedroom as your two consenting adults. Get your toys. Get out there. And it was pastors' wives, the whole 9 yards. It was amazing. Sure. And so you would have been a great topic to actually discuss.
Maybe. Well, I think that people look at the gym. So many people manage to go to the gym, but they don't manage to make love regularly. What's wrong with you? I mean, I go to the gym here in Bozeman, Montana. I have to go to a gym where people are really fit. It's a really fit town. But the people, because they know what I'm doing, they'll complain to me about their sex lives. And I'll have to say, well, you're in the gym when I came, and you're in the gym when I leave. Why don't you're exercising, 10, 12 hours a week. Why don't you take 2 hours out of the way and put that into your relationship? Make love.
Right.
And you need to do it. And there's, it's stress, work, blah, blah. It's like, no, you are not prioritizing something that God has given us to enjoy life and to have their relationships. When these people go to the gym, they don't you're talking about missionary position. These people don't go to the gym and do one exercise. Whether they're on their phone or they got a whiteboard, they got a whole list of things they're going to do. And they don't do the same thing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. They got different things that they're doing every day, because otherwise it'd be really boring. You can't do that with your sex life. And look, I'm a really good cook. And I hope you guys come to Montana someday. My wife says that our house is the best restaurant in town. It is a small town, by the way, so it's not saying very much. But if you guys would come to dinner, it wouldn't be, hear the doorbell ring. It's like, oh, Snooks and Lovey here. Let me see what's in the refrigerator. Let me be spontaneous. Oh, got some rotisserie chicken. I got some leftover soup. I'll just mix them together. No, I plan a meal for you. Mm-hmm. And people need to approach lovemaking the same way. You can't rely upon spontaneity.
That's
I love
true.
that.
I do too. And it's funny how I don't know why, but kind of like to your point about when we were at the retreat, it's like talking about sex is like taboo. But I mean, we all got here because of sex, right? So, I mean, and everyone's doing it, right? So I wonder why there's such it's like people get embarrassed about talking about it. Like, oh, no, don't talk about it. Shh, be quiet. But it's such an important part of a relationship.
It's one of the three things that's key to a successful relationship. I mean, a successful relationship, in my mind, has three qualities. And sex is one of them. The other is you have to share values. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're a Christian, don't marry a Muslim. It's just kind of obvious things like that. And then you need a large shared project, ideally something that's going to last years. And for many people, that's children, common property, might be business. I mean, my wife and I are really enjoying being in this business together. Because to be able to talk about sex all the time, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. But you need those three things, the first thing usually collapses is sex. People stop making love, and then they're only together because we got kids and because we got a house together. Well, that's not a good marriage.
Yeah.
No, that's crazy because it
that's
was one of the
good
first
point.
gifts that God gave us. It was
Yeah.
that was the earliest thing. Look, this is the gift. It was probably the first gift. Like, hey, here you go.
Is
You're,
the,
Hey,
I'm
Adam,
giving
you
you
need Eve.
I'm giving you the greatest puzzle that I've ever created.
the
Put
gift,
them together
the gift that keeps on giving, right?
often.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we enjoyed having you on. So
But wait, so I'm sorry, and kind of like what you were talking about. I know the focus was more about the ring, but on your website, there's also something for women with
But two
the
things. Yeah.
well for the like what is it, the attachment? I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's called the ring mate, and my wife actually invented it
Oh,
because
okay.
hey, you want me to bring the ring mate over here, please? I don't know where it is though. I don't. Sorry, I don't have one on the desk anymore. But it slides on and off our rings, so it can be used. It can be taken off and used solo, or it can be used, for partner penetrative sex. So what most people, women, it's we're not. It's not. You're not designed by nature to come during penetrative sex because the clitoris is 3.5 centimeters away from the base of the dorsal of the shaft of the penis. And as you get older, it gets harder for women. So the goal here was to invent something for hands-free penetrative sex, with whether the woman's on top or whether whether she's on the bottom. That was the goal, and we've had several customers complain that they came too quickly. Well, I'm crying for them. Come again. It's like so. Uh, and but it's been really sad. We had a very famous female dom from Seattle say it was like a religious experience for her. So it's easy to use. It slides on and off, but it can also be taken off and used solo. I like using it solo, not for me, but on my wife, because there's a position. Granted, there are not an infinite number of positions. There, but if you're having sex from behind, it's hard, which a lot of women enjoy, but they'd like to climax more easily in that position. It's hard for a man or for a woman to reach under from behind and get a hold of clitoris. And at my age, I get wrist fatigue. I just it just starts to ache there. And at my wife's age, well, it's one thing to be on her hands, to get graphic with you guys, but then to have to take one hand away, it's just
Right.
as much as she might enjoy that, in her imagination, it just doesn't work.
Right.
Well, I put the ring mate in my fingers. I'm like Superman. I know a young guy like you, Snooki, you can probably move like this fast, but I can't. I'm old. So it just the whole something that was so difficult is now easy, easy and satisfying. But we're also working on a critique. This is the world's first monitor of the health of the clitoris, and we've rated. So it'll be a sex toy too, but it's really about, like the tech ring. It's really about giving women the vital signs of their sexual health. Women have nocturnal clitoral erections. We don't know how many, but we're assuming they're probably about the same number as men do. And by monitoring those nocturnal clitoral erections, how long it lasts, how engorged the clitoris becomes, women can now assess the impact of diabetes, hypertension, atherosclerosis, obesity, medications upon relationships, upon their sexual health. And what's really going to be valuable for premenopausal women is that they take birth control hormones and they take antidepressants way more than men do, obviously. And what's the right dose? Why am I taking this? It's killing my clitoris. Why? So it's going to have a tremendous impact. And then for postmenopausal women who are soon going to be taking testosterone, because I believe that will become the standard of care for postmenopausal women, you'll be able to determine what the right dose is for you. And we're going to come out with that Q1 next year, probably the latest.
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is.
Thank you.
That is really.
So where are people going to tell the audience where they can actually find you and how they can actually support and actually start their journey with FirmTech?
Sure. Well, you can find us at myFirmTech, MyFirmtch, myFirmTech.com. You can contact me personally at Elliot, ELLIOT, at myFirmTech.com. I spend least 5 hours a week just communicating with people. But, you know, the customers, you have a question about sex, especially about male sexual health. So myfirmtech.com, or you can reach me personally at Elliot at myfirmtech.com.
Okay.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we appreciate all the education. There's a lot of knowledge that you shared. It was entertaining.
Thank you.
And honestly, I know, and I think there was an edict. There was an edict for everyone to actually pay a lot more attention to their sexual health.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah, it's a reflection of your cardiovascular health, the medications that you're taking, and also we all want to have. You know, my mission is better sex and better sexual health for everyone. We all want to have a long lifetime of lovemaking, and if you want your marriage to last, get crazy in bed.
I love
crazy.
Get crazy in bed. I like that. All right, folks. Hey, Dr. Elliot or Dr. Justin, thank you so much for your time. Hey, and all of you out there, until the next time, be blessed.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Married Into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. Please like, subscribe to, and review the show wherever you access it, and tell a friend about us. Visit marriedintocrazy.com and see how Snooks and Lovey can bless your marriage directly.